Welcome back, I'm Chris Morin with HVAC Pro Blog, and this week I'm excited to present a video that I created for my Patreon members 1 year ago. It's called Wicked Good Customer Reviews. Without further ado, here's the training. Alright, I had the most amazing experience with my family recently, having the opportunity to view the musical Wicked up close and personal. The number of storylines and lessons taught in this story is frankly astonishing. What does this have to do with HVAC, you may be asking? Immediately after, listening to my wife and daughter exclaim which parts were their favorite, all I could think about was the connection these lessons had with customer reviews. First, they're watching the movie from a different angle. I learned very early on in my HVAC career as a technician that there's more than one angle to every story. My first manager used to say that there were three: your story, the customer's story, and then the truth somewhere in between. On a similar note, a colleague of mine likes to say that everyone watches the same movie from a different angle. Either way, we're saying the same thing here. The customer is not always right, but then again, neither are you. When it comes to Dorothy's point of view, told in the story of Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch was painted in the worst possible way. A true villain out to get her. I like to think of this, in most instances, as the homeowner's point of view when they post a negative review online. For generations, young girls like my daughter will dress up on Halloween as Dorothy, the hero of her own story. This point of view has all aspects needed to tell a great story. But what actually did happen from someone else's point of view? The story of the Wicked Witch, Elphaba, not largely told until 2003 when the musical Wicked opened on Broadway, was a much different story about someone who thought she was doing the right thing. No spoilers here. Helping her family, friends, and people she loved. There was a lot of circumstantial evidence that people trying to protect their own self-interest used to paint her as wicked, when in fact, she was doing a lot of good. I like to think that this is the point of view as told by the HVAC contractor when it comes to consumer reviews. Unfortunately, most contractors wait too long to respond to negative consumer reviews. I would say just 1 week in waiting to respond to a negative post about your company is probably the equivalent of Elphaba's side of the story being told 6.5 decades later in Wicked. Next, we need to ask, are you known for something other than the superficial? A storyline very early on in the play is the fact that from birth, Elphaba was an outcast since she was born green. Most people in her life, even into adulthood, could not get past this superficial detail. This caused many troubles for her, but made her work much harder to attain everything she needed in life, including the trust and friendship of others. Eventually, she becomes known by those close to her for anything but the fact that she is the color green. What I liked most was the fact that she addressed this immediately with her peers, getting the commentary out of the way so that she could work on things that really mattered. All right, back to HVAC. There are many things homeowners are superficially concerned about. Some from personal experience, but most just hearsay when meeting or dealing with HVAC contractors. Do you address these concerns as a technician or salesperson going into their home? Don't be afraid to address the superficial so you can actually discuss what you want yourself and your company to be remembered for. You'll have to work hard to gain their trust without muttering the put off, "Trust me." Even worse, which superficial assumptions are you making when running that call? Are you assuming they may not value a variable speed system or improve IAQ because they don't have a new car or maybe a large home equity? Don't be known as shallow or being superficial. All right, lastly, are you giving them something to talk about? Here's an idea. Why not control the conversation online and be proactive with the storyline? Negative reviews are not necessarily bad, as long as you can tell your version of the story quickly and offer to resolve the differences. If you don't know where your company sits with customer reviews, do me a favor and simply Google your company and location tonight. You may find that you have a big hole to dig out of. And if you're not asking for positive reviews, that shovel is real small. Also, what is one thing you can do starting tomorrow that will give your customers something positive to say online, maybe without you even asking first? Consider this your wow factor, or a trigger that sparks the need for a customer to leave a glowing review. Now, what's ironic, Elphaba in Wicked is not concerned with clearing her name, instead of protecting her friends and family at the cost of herself. This is where my thoughts stray from the storyline. I would much rather be able to continue to help others for the long term by being sure my house is in order first and leading by example. Maybe I trust others a bit too much. Those that know me well know that this one isn't true at all. But when I do trust you, it is unrelenting. I had the experience of moving my family just 1 hour south from where we were living about 6 years ago. An hour doesn't sound that far, but when you need a landscaper, an auto mechanic, a dentist, an hour's too far. I had to go through finding new people to trust all over again, closer to home. What's ironic, Elphaba in Wicked is not concerned with clearing her name instead of protecting her friends and family at the cost of herself. This is where my thoughts stray from the storyline. I would much rather be able to continue to help others for the long term by being sure my house is in order first and by leading by example. Maybe I trust others just a bit too much. Those that know me well know that this isn't true at all. But when I do trust you, it's unrelenting. I had the experience of moving my family just 1 hour south about 6 years ago. An hour doesn't sound that far, but when you need to find a landscaper, an auto mechanic, a dentist, an hour's just too far. I had to go through finding new people to trust all over again, closer to home. I can tell you right now, to put some things in perspective, that we were still driving an hour to meet my daughter's pediatrician until she recently retired. Thanks for joining me this week at HVAC Pro Blog, where we provide advice for residential system design, quality installation, and system diagnosis. I'll see you soon.